In the bustling streets of a small town in West Africa, there was a new kind of silence. It wasn't the quiet of peace, but the eerie stillness of a community gripped by a growing epidemic. The young people who once filled the streets with laughter and dreams had become shadows of themselves, their eyes hollow and distant. At the heart of this tragedy was a pill. Red, a powerful painkiller, had found its way into the hands of many, not as a remedy for physical pain, but as an escape from the harsh realities of life. It was supposed to be used in moderation, to treat severe pain, but over time, it had become something more. A drug of choice for the youth searching for a way to numb their struggles. In the villages and cities across Africa, the drug was easy to obtain, often sold in the streets or on the black market. Its allure impossible to resist for those seeking relief from poverty, trauma, or simply the crushing weight of their daily existence. One such young man was Kofi, a bright teenager from a small village near the city. Kofi had dreams of becoming a doctor, of helping his people escape the cycles of illness and poverty. He had always been curious about the world, constantly asking questions, wanting to learn. But when he lost his father to a sudden illness, the weight of grief became too much for him to bear. The world, once full of promise, suddenly felt like a dark and lonely place. It was during this time that Kofi first heard about Red from some older boys in the neighborhood. They spoke of it as if it were a secret, something that could make everything better, a way to escape the pain that everyone seemed to carry in their hearts. Just take a pill, and you won't feel the weight of the world anymore, they said. You won't think about the poverty, the sickness, or the hopelessness. It'll take it all away. At first, Kofi resisted. He knew the dangers of drugs, the stories of friends who had become lost to them, but the pains of losing his father, poverty and hopelessness gnawed at him, a constant ache that he couldn't escape. One night, in the depths of his sorrow, Kofi decided to try it. He took the pill, just one, and waited. It was as if a fog lifted. For the first time in months, he felt light. The grief, the sadness, the anger, they all faded away. In its place was a strange calm, a peace that felt better than anything he had known. He could finally breathe. For a few hours he was free, but that freedom came at a cost. The next day, Kofi woke up and felt the old emptiness creep back in, like a weight settling on his chest. His mind felt foggy, and his body ached. His thoughts were sluggish, slow, but he remembered the relief he'd felt the night before. He thought about the pill again, and without much thought, he took another. It didn't take long for Kofi to fall into the trap. Each time the pain of life became too much, Red offered a quick solution, and with every pill, the promises of freedom faded, leaving him more and more dependent on the drug. His schoolwork began to slip. The dreams he once had of becoming a doctor were replaced by a desperate need for the next fix. The bright boy who had once dreamed of helping his people was now lost in a haze, his potential slipping through his fingers like sand. Kofi was not alone. Across West Africa, Red had become a silent epidemic, spreading among the youth like wildfire. In cities, towns, and villages, young people were turning to the drug as a way to escape the pressures of life. But what they didn't know was that Red was not a solution. It was a prison that shackled their minds and destroyed their futures. For many, it began with a pill or two, then escalated to higher doses. The body began to crave more, needing larger amounts to achieve the same high. The drug robbed the youth of their ambition, their energy, their health. They became addicted, trapped in a cycle of fleeting relief and eventual despair. As their addiction deepened, they became zombies of the streets, walking aimlessly with dull eyes, their bodies broken by the constant toll of the drug. The physical dangers were clear. Red could lead to liver damage, heart problems, seizures, and even death. But the mental toll was just as severe. It clouded judgment, shattered concentration, and dulled the mind. The youth, once full of hope and possibility, now had only one goal: to escape, to forget, to numb the pain of their existence. One day, Coffee woke up to find himself alone. His friends, who had once shared his dreams, had either fallen deeper into their addiction or disappeared entirely. His mother, desperate, had tried everything she could to get him off the drug. She had pleaded with him, taken him to doctors, and even tried spiritual healing. But Kofi was too far gone. The grip of red had taken hold, and the world outside seemed so far away. It wasn't until Kofi collapsed in the streets, his body racked with tremors and fever, that he finally saw the truth. The world he had once dreamed of was slipping through his hands. He was no longer a boy with hope. He was a casualty of a drug that had stolen his future. As he lay in a hospital bed, his body fighting the effects of overdose, Kofi finally understood. Red had promised him peace, but it had stolen his soul. Kofi's story is not unique. Across the continent, the youth are being consumed by a drug that offers only destruction. Families are torn apart. Communities are left broken, and futures are being lost. The epidemic of red is a silent storm sweeping through Africa, and the youth are its most vulnerable victims. But there is still hope.